Dr. Yetunde, happy Women's History Month.
Same to you.
So I know that this month is very significant for you. What are two things that you're grateful for this month? What are you celebrating?
Well, I'm celebrating womanhood, right, and getting to this stage of my life, and also celebrating all the other women who came before me and those who are coming after me. So it's just a celebration of womanhood and the journey that we're all on.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I love about you is you are so dynamic. I mean, you do it all, right? You are a professor, you're an author, you're an entrepreneur, you are a women's empowerment, champion. How did you discover your career path?
It's a multitude of divine moments, but I always knew at a young age that I was always meant for more, and I embraced that at a young age, and I didn't dim my light or shine back. So if you go through my history, it will make sense in a sense. Like, you always saw me in a leadership capacity. I was president of my high school, running, captain of my cheerleading team, all of these things, and I was always the person that always had an idea of how to change things. I always felt that it was important to speak up. And I don't really know, I think it's an innate quality, but at the same time, I also believe that it's the way that I was brought up. So all of these different divine moments, experiences, kind of thrust me into who I am today.
I want to talk a little bit more about that, your background, all right? First of all, tell me more about your background, and what are some of the things that you think, growing up, your upbringing, the values that were instilled in you, how did they shape the person that you've sort of evolved into today?
So from a young age, of course, my parents, although they're Nigerian, but they never said you need to be this or be that. They said, whatever you want to do, be the best at it. And I took that and I ran with it. And so I got my bachelor's in journalism and media studies because I thought I wanted to talk about all the global issues that are happening around the world. But as I started to sort of go through my college journey, I started to question, who are making these decisions? How are these decisions being made? How do you get to this table? What is it that you need to have to prepare yourself? If the opportunity ever came to you and they wanted to pick you for an ambassador, or you wanted to run in what do you need? And so I started looking at all of these things, and I knew that I remember there was one African-American woman who was a professor, and she would be my only professor as an undergrad when I was in school. And something piqued my interest about that. And I said, you know what, this is not the ending point for me here, that I think I need to go to graduate school, but shift my focus and actually focus on global affairs and global issues, particularly counter-corruption studies. These were conversations that my dad and I would have around the table about corruption and the effect on human life and what are the costs, not just economic, but in terms of just human costs. So all of those things helped me sort of, I think, flesh out what I wanted to do with my life. So I didn't want to just report about the news, but I wanted to be at the table where decisions were being made. And thankfully, I've been able to be at many tables.
Interesting. So you have been very fortunate to have parents who support you and gave you the freedom to really choose your career path and do whatever it is you want to do. But as you and I both know, a lot of people don't get that, especially from our African parents. So how important is that, coming from a home or getting that support, and from people who did not? What is your advice to them as well?
You know what it means? It means everything. Because we are all complex beings. We all have different gifts and different talents. And if we stifle children to just focus on one thing, we're not giving them the opportunity to embrace or even discover the other talents and gifts that they have. So there's one thing to guide children, but then there's another thing to confine them. And so I hope that as African parents, they understand to have a balance. I know they mean well, I know that, from their own upbringing, they're just doing what they know. But at the same time, we would not have the opportunity to be blessed with all of the different talents, actors, entertainers, researchers. I mean, the plethora of the things that people are able to do in just one individual. One individual can have 10 gifts, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so we need to encourage young children to not only be excellent inside of the school, but also be excellent in the cultivation of the other gifts that they have.
Very important. How do your unique experiences as a Nigerian woman, are you first generation or
first generation? I was born here.
Okay. How do those experiences affect the way you are, your action and your impact in corporate America in particular. How do you feel those experiences have shaped you?
I think for me, I see everything in a dual vision. So when I walk into the classroom, when I walk into, our faculty meetings, and of course I'm probably one of four, probably in the whole school in terms of just faculty who are people of color. I don't negate the fact that my parents are Nigerian. I come from Nigeria, and it's part of my identity. And so, I always say this story. When I was in elementary school and high school, I went by Victoria. And Victoria was a name. It wasn't even my birth. It was just a name my parents gave me. And I didn't use Yetunde because I thought, one, people couldn't pronounce my name, and I just wanted to make other people more comfortable.
Yeah, you wanted to fit in.
I wanted to fit in. But as soon as I got to college, I said, I'm doing myself a disservice by not going by Yetunde. It's my name, it's who I am, it's my identity. It's how you understand a little bit about me. Because when you hear Yetunde, you'll automatically know that, where is she from? What is her story? What is her background? And so now I'm a huge advocate in terms of just owning who you are and owning where you come from and being very proud of that. And so I don't need to leave that for any position. I don't need to throw that away for, any type of salary. I think you can be all of those things in one.
Very important. Can you imagine how many people are watching this and can relate to what you're saying? I can only imagine. I've been there, as well, feeling the need to conform to certain standards to fit in. As a woman, oftentimes there are a lot of stereotypes about women in leadership positions. How do you maneuver? How do you deal with some of these issues when it comes to women in leadership positions, women in influential women, really? And how do you deal with these on a daily basis in your career?
I've been fortunate to experience good experiences with women in leadership positions and also not so good experiences. And what I tell young women in particular is that not to be too blindsided by the position and the accolades and the accomplishments, because that's different from the individual and who they really are. So you may want to talk to them about, about life, and you may want them to mentor you, but they can probably only give you what they actually have. And so I learned that at a young age, being in positions where I was always the youngest in the room, and there were women who were much, much older than me that I looked up to and that I admired and possibly wanted to follow their footsteps. But I realized that we have two different lives, and that what your life may have been may not be the same for me. And the advice that you may be giving me may not be well suited for my life. So I had to make sure that I balance those things and take some here, leave some there, and carve the type of life that I wanted for myself. And I tell a lot of young women that, because if you don't temper your expectations, you will get disappointed. And that's extremely important to understand.
What are some of the ways that you think as women we get in the way of our own success?
Well, there are a couple, right? I always say that never dim your light for anyone, right? Stand and put your head up high. But we oftentimes compromise those things to make other people feel comfortable, right? We sometimes scale back how great we are so that other people won't feel insecure, or other people won't question, where they are in life. And to be honest, I'm really not for that. I'm for embracing who I am, being proud of what I've done, and walking in the light that God has given me. And I don't feel that needs to be compromised for anyone or anybody or any position. And I feel as though I think Marianne Williamson says it best, as you let your own light shine, you give others the permission to do the same. And I think we all need to do that.
As women have come a very long way, both here in the U.S. and globally. But I'm curious to hear, what other changes do you hope to see when it comes to women empowerment? And you're a women's rights advocate, you empower women, you're all about empowering women. What other things are you fighting for?
I'm fighting for us understanding that, in certain places where we are, we have a privilege of the issues that we're actually going through. That the things that we are fighting here in the United States, not saying that they are not significant or that they are not important, but because we are in a position, to be honest, of privilege, we oftentimes forget the issues that other women globally around the world are going through, from child marriage to human trafficking, sex trafficking. all types of various global issues that we just kind of put to the side. And maybe it's important that we use our position of privilege to speak for those who cannot speak for themselves. I think that's extremely important. And one thing about it, I always say about empowerment, is that you cannot empower anyone with one foot in and one foot out the door. And so I'm sure a lot of women have had the experience and the stories where you see a young woman and she's brilliant. I mean, she's doing amazing things, but that potential can be threatening. And we oftentimes don't talk about how does a young woman deal and maneuver in that space where she's in a position that's far more than her age, right? She's in a position that's far more than her age, and she's looking up to people who she feel will embrace her, but sometimes that doesn't happen all the time, right? And so I think real empowerment is also understanding that if we're going to empower women, we cannot empower them with one foot in and out the door. If I see your potential, I cannot be afraid that you can be better than me. That should be my wish and that should be my want, right? I cannot say that I'm going to give you a little bit of an opportunity, but I'm not going to give you a lot, because in my mind, there's only one room, there's only one seat, in the room when they're probably 30 or 40. So I think by knocking down those things and thinking about how we can be better sister friends, or how could we be really women advocates. It's not even about advocate, it's about being a champion. You know, a champion is different from a mentor. I've had many champions in my life. These are people who pick up the phone and make a difference. They say, oh, that young lady right there, no, you need to meet her. Oh, no, you need to hire her. Oh, no, Yetune, go here and here. I've had champions. Now, sometimes with mentorship, it's only but so far, right? Sometimes it's only but so far. But we need champions. We need other women who are going to advocate for other women and say, her right there, she needs a seat at the table. Or I'm going to drag that seat and make sure she sits at the table, and not just like crack the door and let you figure it out. So that's how I kind of look at
Wonderful.
empowerment.
African women, or women of African descent, are breaking glass ceilings in this country. I think now more than ever.
Absolutely.
I meet so many women, every day, who are born in Africa or from the Caribbean, and it's incredible what they're doing. How can we mobilize these women to help advance the leadership pipeline and to create more opportunities for the next generation?
So I think not only by individual acts. In graduate school, I started an organization called Young Women's Guide, just to provide leadership skills and development for young women, so that when the opportunity does come, they are positioned and prepared to rise to that opportunity. So it's one, building a generation and providing them skill sets and this confidence to do so. But then at the same time, we have to also identify where these people are. Oftentimes they're hidden in these institutions, right? And we don't know that they're there. We don't know. We don't know that they're there. We don't know a lot of the strides that they're making. And so if we're able to put some form of publicity on who they are and what they're doing, that will encourage other young women and other women to form some form of a cohort, right? Where we can now pinpoint and find resources within our diaspora. And I think those are the first ways that we can sort of build that network of women who can help one another.
You have accomplished so much at such a young age. I don't want to put you on the spot by saying, hey, but
I'm comfortable.
You're 32?
31.
31! Amazing. I mean, what you've accomplished is just so incredible. And I'm curious to hear what the next 10 to 20 years look like for you.
I just want to continue being happy, being peaceful, raising my 2 kids, living life with my husband, but most importantly, just living in my purpose and doing having the freedom to do what I want to do with my life, right? I'm
so happy that you mentioned being happy, because I think a lot of the times as women, we just go, and we don't really enjoy the moments, right? And so that's very important. Who are the women in your life, as we reflect on Women's History Month and celebrate women all around the world? Who are the women that have inspired you on your personal journey?
Well, I have to first start with my mother. My mother she only had 2 kids, so it's me and my brother. And I think I always say that they're like living angels. I don't know how else to put it. You don't get to choose who your parents are. You don't get to choose the family that you're born into. But I say the greatest blessing that God gave me was making her my mother. I think she always told me, she said, even though you're a mother now, you're a wife. Get up. Still continue to do what you want to do. Still continue, dress up, take care of yourself.
Right.
And from a young age, she's a pediatric nurse, but everyone knows my parents to be like that, the nurturing parents. They're not like the the stereotypical sometimes Nigerian parents that we always kind of throw in there. They're very different. I mean, they gave us the freedom to create a life that we wanted. And I think in return, the only way that we can honor them for what they have done for us was to be good.
Yeah.
Was to be good, so that anywhere they would hear our names, they would be proud. Like that's the only thing that I can do to repay them back, you know.
And I'm sure they are very proud of you guys.
Hi, my name is Dr. Yetunde Odubasin Omede.
Dr. Denise Asafwe J.
Chinwe SMI.
Azane Kabiri. Martha Ama Echafobi, Ghana's Ambassador and Permanent Representative to the United Nations.
I'm a professor of politics and global affairs at Farmingdale State College.
I'm a urology resident at Columbia University Medical Center in New York City.
I'm the Chief Anti-Bribery Officer at Citigroup.
The head of diversity and inclusion at H&M, and I want to wish everyone out there
Happy Women's History Month.
Happy Women's History Month.
I celebrate, I honor, and I salute all of you.
And I hope that it becomes a meaningful celebration for all of us, telling our story as women. So go out there and celebrate the special woman in your life by just telling her some really nice things about her.
Learn, move forward, don't stop. Whatever you do, keep living your dreams.
At the beginning of our conversation, you mentioned that at a young age, you felt a calling to do so much more. What's your advice for women who are watching you and feel the same calling? I want to do so much more, but I'm afraid. Where do I even start? What would you tell those women?
I say, there's a quote by Naira Waheed, and she says, "I am mine before I am anyone else's." And I think for every woman, you know, you're in different stages of your life, and there's a tendency to put those dreams and those visions that you have for yourself when you were a little girl in the back burner. But I've always held on to those dreams. I've always held on to those visions. Like I, you know, the things that I would see for myself when I'm young, but younger. Like I held on, I fight for it. Like even as a mother of two, you gotta fight for it. You know, as a wife, you gotta fight for it. Even if you're single, you gotta fight for it. So wherever you see yourself, how you see your future being, work towards it and hold on to it. It's almost like life can blow you so many ways, but hold on to an anchor. Like, and that anchor is your dream and your vision. And I say, look, people are depending on your dreams. They're depending on you to actualize that vision. You don't know how your gift can unlock someone else's destiny or change their life. So it's not even about you at this point. It's the fact that, you know, people can actually be blessed and moved and their lives be changed by you. And so if you sit on that, whatever it may be, whatever you have a calling or a drawing to do, you're just doing a disservice to the world because we actually need it. That's how we change the world, by people saying, you know what, I'm actually going to do this. I'm actually going to interview a whole bunch of women today. You know, I'm actually going to, it makes a difference. So I think that's hold on to your dreams, fight for it. It's a deliberate thing. Nobody can do it for you. You got to make that decision to do it for yourself. So I think that's what I would leave.
And it's never too late.
It's never too late. Never too late. Don't worry about the age. It's never too late.
That's a great place to end. Yetunde, thank you so much.
You.
This has been
you.
incredible, and congratulations on everything.
Thank you so much.
So excited and looking forward to all the amazing things that you're going to be doing.
And likewise, same for you.
Okay.